Since the release of the latest M5, the G99 chassis, there's been a lot of controversy, whether it's the styling or the weight, but how does it drive? Today we're leaving BMW Classic in Munich and we're headed to Villa d'Este. We're taking it through the mountains to show you guys how it drives, can you feel the weight, what can you fit inside, and overall how's the ownership experience going to be for you. So stay tuned, we're starting right now. High up in the Italian mountains, and we've been driving now for over 3 hours. But before I get into how this M5 is driving, let me point out the specs of this particular M5 Touring. As you guys can see, this is Alpine white, which is actually probably my favorite catalog color for the car. And this is the first time I've been able to see it in person when we picked it up at the press building from BMW. It's spec'd with carbon ceramic brakes as an option, and this has the gloss black wheels. But one of the things you can't see really from the camera angle there is this has Michelin Pilot Sport S5s, which are similar to the 4S, but this is the new tire from Michelin, which we don't yet have in the States. It's coming very soon, but it's not yet there, which was great because all the cars that I've driven so far M5-wise have been on the hand-cooked tires, which I thought were okay, but they were a little noisy, and these have been amazing this whole drive. This particular car has the M-Performance carbon mirrors, which to me really makes it, because I think the gloss black kind of makes it have a cheaper look. Another thing that I'll point out is the charging port. And one thing about the M hybrid system that this car has is we don't have to stop and charge it. I don't have to charge it when we stop tonight at the hotel. Car actually charges itself. So you technically could own this car, never open up this flap because you don't need to charge. So this particular car actually has the black and red interior with the carbon. So this is an interior that I've seen before. It was actually part of one of the launch cars too when we were at Goodwood. It's a great spec, especially with the white. The other thing that this has is the hatch with a ton of room. But let me show you guys that later because I want to focus on the driving. I've been driving about 3.5 hours, and when we left Munich, we were directly on the unlimited speed autobahn. And of course, this is an amazing car at very high speed. It's planted and it has the torque to make those passes from some of the trucks. We also, once we got into Austria, had a lot of traffic, and the heads-up display and some of the dynamics of the modes and everything allowed me to relax. It let me kind of get through all of that traffic. And then we got off the highway, and for the past 30 minutes, we've been on these crazy mountain roads. Now, these are the roads you see on Top Gear and some of the other Grand Tour shows that you guys really love. And this car was keeping up with a Cayman GTS we were running with, and we actually passed a couple 911s on the way up. We're about halfway up currently, and this has really held its own. The brakes really feel good. I was able to stop, as Dan can concur, because he was in the passenger seat, and it's really keeping up. I'm driving in manual mode, it's in Sport Plus, and it's a super fast car, but we're loaded down with everything. We have all the camera gear, we have all of our bags for this whole trip, and it's really been an amazing car. I know a lot of people want to focus on the weight. And now that I've spent time at home with the G90, at home with the other G99, and now this on this type of roads, yes, the car's heavy, yes, the car's big in person and on paper, but when you're driving and you're getting on this car with the speed and the horsepower and torque that it has, you don't feel it. It doesn't feel heavy. And if you guys have experienced any other generation M5, it's the same as that. The dynamic hasn't changed from F90. I'm just not sure why everyone wants to always bring that up. I'm lucky enough to be able to have this and the cars that are at home, and I'll tell you, it's an amazing car, especially with mods and different things. One of the other technical aspects from the car is this is a EU model. This is a press car from BMW, and it has the OPF exhaust, which I was anticipating being quieter than the US cars, and it actually seems like it's a little bit louder for some reason. Not sure why, but it's just one of those observations I wanted to point out. So we're gonna get back to ripping up these amazing roads. So let's get on our way. Hey guys, so it's day 2 on the journey. We're still on our way to Villa d'Este, and today's been totally crazy with rain. It was raining ever since we woke up pretty early. Last night we stayed pretty high up in the Alps, in kind of the German-Italian area, and it's been overall a really good drive with the M5. Today in the rain, the car's been great with the all-wheel drive, and the transmission is another piece to the puzzle, which makes mountain driving and sort of elevation driving a lot easier because I've been able to manually engine brake the car down some of these inclines, which is great, so you're not riding the brakes. It's fast when we need it, it has the torque when we need it, but it's also relaxing. If I want to relax and sort of lay back, put it in full automatic with the comfort, you can do that, but then when it clears up with the rain, I can drive it pretty aggressive with manual mode and Sport Plus, and it's a great car for these type of trips. So we just came out of 2 pretty long tunnels, and I wanted to go ahead and cover some of the pros and cons. So first I'll talk about this specific G99 that we're in. It has some pretty funky options that were left out on the spec sheet, and one of them that I noticed the most was the bird's eye view camera for parking, which I believe is the parking assistant option, which is a huge deal on this car because it's a huge car. And as we go more into Italy, the roads become tighter and tighter and the parking lot spots become smaller and smaller. So that's something that I definitely miss, and I'm used to driving the other wagon, and I definitely noticed that right away. Another thing we noticed is this does not have the panoramic sunroof, which would be a nice option. Obviously it's pouring rain right now, but during the trip we'd like to use that. It also just lets more light into the cabin in this big car, which really adds to, just the pleasure I think of having the car. So I definitely would recommend both of those options. And a lot of people talk about slick top versus a panoramic roof. The panoramic roof is definitely a heavier option, but again, we're in a super luxury GT touring car that's already pretty heavy, so it's really not going to make an enjoyment difference and a weight difference for performance that you're going to notice. Another thing I'll point out on all M5s that I've noticed that really bugged me is that the rear doors do not have comfort access ability, meaning if you have the key in your pocket and the car is locked and you walk up to the back doors, the car does not unlock. To me, an M5 is like a flagship BMW model that it should be similar to a 7 Series in options and comfort, and it's missing from this car. Another sort of complaint of mine is the fit and finish of a lot of the panels in the car. They seem to feel more plasticky and more cheap than the outgoing model, the F90. The F90, you get in it, you see the leather stitching on the top of the door panels, you see the leather stitching on the dash, you just see more and feel more. It just feels like a $130,000 car. When you get in here, it has more of a cleaner design, and there is a lot more plastic. I mean, even the grills for the Bowers & Wilkins are plastic. There's no stitching on top of the doors. And some of the feedback I've heard from some of my customers that have seen the car and from other people that have driven the car is it feels like an interior downgrade. I'm hoping later on LCI or later on in the year they're going to actually add full leather to the car, so they can add more leather on the dash and add more leather on the door panels. I think that would really be great. To talk more about the interior, the seats are great. They're super comfortable. They have a lot of adjustability, and they're just great for doing these long drives. I will say that some of the sport seats, as of recent, have not been that comfortable. Dan and I have been on a lot of drives in the M2 with the sport seats, and they were not our favorite because we came right out of the G80 with the carbon buckets, which we went on a ton of long trips with those, and those were comfortable seats. So I will say BMW did a great job on that. And the steering wheel, all the buttons on the steering wheel are great. These huge M1, M2 buttons are super easy to press, and the flat bottom is really nice. It makes it easier to get it out of the car. I like the new iDrive system with the big screen. That's another thing I hear all the time. I don't like the big screen. Me personally, I don't like the big screen when it's off. When I look in the car and I just see a screen and I see no neat gauges and no analog anything, kind of is annoying, but when you're driving the car and you're using the car, the screen's amazing. Huge nav screen, all the gauges and everything. You put it in sport, it changes, and the heads-up display is also amazing too. So, you know, BMW has everything together with their technology, but it's just a lot at once, I think, for a lot of change for some people. So now that the rain is picking up a lot more, I'm going to focus on driving. We're about 2 hours, 10 minutes away from Villa d'Este. So when we arrive, we're going to show you everything we've got packed into this Touring. We'll see you then. Our time here at Lake Como is officially over, and it's been a great weekend. We got to see the M2 CS reveal, the Speed Top. I got to see a ton of M3 GTs and a ton of other really special cars from BMW Classic. We're gonna head back to Munich now, but before we do that, let me show you why the M5 is the ultimate Grand Tourer. As you can see here, these are all the bags that we've had in the car from square one. We have 3 check bags, 3 carry-ons, we have all the camera equipment, and we even have some pizza for the road because I always get hungry. And this has been a great vehicle. It has 730 horsepower, able to fit all of this stuff and create every single thing that we needed on the trip. And we're taking the direct route this time. No more crazy Alps because we got to get back to catch our flight home. See you guys next time.